Hello and welcome back to Shabby Chic Wonder. If you've ever looked at that pile of forgotten junk in your garage or backyard and wondered if it could be something more, something beautiful, then today's video is absolutely for you. In this episode, we're diving into the world of rustic garden magic, where old becomes new, worn becomes wonderful, and junk turns into joy. Get ready to discover how to breathe new life into discarded items and transform them into vintage art that adds charm and personality to your outdoor space. There's something truly magical about uncovering forgotten treasures right in your own backyard or tucked away in a dusty corner of the garage. These overlooked items, whether it's an old wooden crate, a rusted gate, or a chipped enamel tub, hold so much potential. With a little imagination and effort, they can be transformed into charming garden decor that tells a story. The key is learning how to spot these pieces and envision their new life among the flowers and greenery. Before any transformation begins, it's important to give each piece a good cleaning. Soak off layers of grime, scrub away rust, and sand down rough edges. This step not only prepares the item for its next phase, but also reveals hidden details you might not have noticed at first glance. Once cleaned, the character of the object starts to shine through, setting the perfect foundation for your creative vision to take shape. Now that your materials are clean and ready, it's time to start preparing them for their new purpose. Lay down a tarp in a well-ventilated space and gather your tools: sandpaper, primer, paint, and brushes. Begin by sanding any painted surfaces to create texture, which will help your new finish adhere better. If there's rust, apply a rust neutralizer to stop further corrosion and preserve the integrity of the metal. This stage is all about laying the groundwork for the final look. Whether you're aiming for a soft shabby chic feel or a more rugged industrial style, proper prep makes all the difference. Apply a base coat of paint in a color that complements your garden palette. Think muted greens, warm greys, or faded whites. Let each layer dry completely before moving on, ensuring a smooth and lasting finish that's ready for creativity. With your pieces primed and painted, now comes the fun part, giving them that signature vintage charm. Use a second coat of paint in a contrasting shade, then gently sand the edges to reveal glimpses of the layers beneath. This distressing technique mimics natural wear and adds depth to your project. You can also use a dry brushing method with a lighter tone to highlight textures and imperfections. The beauty of this process lies in its unpredictability. Each stroke and scrape tells a different story. Don't worry about making it too perfect. The goal is to create a sense of history and warmth. As the sunlight hits your newly painted art, you'll begin to see how these subtle details bring life and soul to your garden, blending seamlessly with nature's organic flow. Now that your painted pieces are complete, it's time to enhance them with rustic wooden accents. Reclaimed wood brings a natural, weathered texture that pairs beautifully with upcycled metal or ceramic finds. Look for old fence boards, barn wood, or even discarded pallets. These materials often come with built-in character like nail holes, knots, and fading grain patterns. Cut or shape the wood to fit your project, whether as a base, frame, or decorative overlay. Secure it using outdoor-safe adhesive or vintage nails for added charm. Sand lightly to soften sharp edges, but leave some imperfections intact to maintain that time-worn appeal. These wooden touches ground your creations in the past while giving them a fresh, intentional place in your garden today. One of the most delightful ways to personalize your garden is by crafting whimsical signs from salvaged materials. Old metal sheets, wooden planks, or even broken shutters can be turned into charming messages that reflect your personality. Use stencils or freehand lettering to spell out welcoming phrases, flower names, or inspirational quotes that resonate with your style. Paint your letters in soft, vintage tones and add decorative flourishes like vines, birds, or floral motifs. Distress the edges slightly for that aged effect and seal everything with a clear outdoor protectant. Hang your sign on a post, lean it against a tree, or prop it beside a flower bed. Either way, it becomes a conversation starter and a joyful expression of your creativity. Transforming everyday junk into functional planters is one of the most satisfying parts of this project. Tin cans, old drawers, cracked teapots, or even worn-out boots can become unique vessels for your favorite plants. Start by cleaning them thoroughly and drilling drainage holes if needed. Then, give them a fresh coat of paint in colors that match your garden's vibe. Once dry, line the containers with burlap or moss and fill them with soil and your choice of blooms. Arrange them along pathways, hang them from branches, or cluster them on a bench for a pop of charm. These quirky planters not only breathe new life into forgotten objects, but also bring a playful, personal touch to your outdoor space. Adding movement to your garden enhances its visual appeal, and creating wind spinners from scrap metal is both simple and rewarding. Gather bottle caps, tin lids, or thin metal sheets and cut them into shapes like hearts, leaves, or spirals. Punch small holes near the top and thread them onto wire or twine, spacing them apart so they catch the breeze freely. Hang your creations from tree branches, shepherd's hooks, or repurposed ladders for a dynamic display. As the wind dances through your yard, your homemade spinners will twirl and shimmer, catching light and adding a sense of motion to your still garden elements. These delicate additions bring a sense of joy and wonder to your rustic outdoor sanctuary. To give your upcycled pieces a truly authentic aged appearance, try weathering techniques that mimic years of exposure. One easy method involves mixing steel wool with vinegar and letting it sit overnight. Apply the solution to bare wood or over painted surfaces to create a rich, antique patina that looks naturally aged within minutes. You can also experiment with salt, tea bags, or coffee grounds on fabric or paper elements to simulate age. Layer these effects to build dimension and realism. These tricks make your creations feel like they've always belonged in the garden, enhancing their charm without requiring years of wear and tear. Now that your pieces are finished, it's time to style your garden nook. Choose a quiet corner or a sunny patch where you can group your creations together. Place a weathered bench or chair nearby, and arrange your planters, signs, and art around it to form a cohesive vignette that invites relaxation and reflection. Layer textures by adding vintage lanterns, mismatched teacups, or draped lace curtains for a dreamy, romantic feel. Incorporate climbing vines or hanging baskets to frame the space and bring height to your arrangement. This curated yet effortless look turns your garden into a peaceful retreat filled with stories and charm. Finally, protecting your creations from the elements ensures they last through seasons of enjoyment. Apply a clear outdoor sealant to painted surfaces, wood, and metal to guard against moisture, UV rays, and rust. For fabric or paper elements, consider bringing them indoors during harsh weather or placing them under sheltered areas. Regular maintenance doesn't have to be time-consuming. Just a quick wipe down or touch-up paint here and there keeps your vintage garden art looking fresh and intentional. With proper care, your upcycled masterpieces will continue to inspire and delight, reminding you that beauty can be found in the most unexpected places. We've walked through each step, from finding hidden treasures and giving them a fresh start, to painting with a vintage vibe, adding rustic wooden touches, creating whimsical signs, and even making your own wind spinners. We also covered how to style your garden nook with intention and protect your creations so they last through every season. I hope you feel inspired to get creative with what you already have and turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. If you enjoyed this video and found these ideas helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more shabby chic inspiration. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know which upcycled idea was your favorite, or better yet, share photos of your own rustic garden creations. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.